The Mahoney County Board of Elections will hold a regular board meeting of the members of the board on Tuesday, October 7th, 2025
Bless you.
Oh, I hope I don't get COVID.
at 4 p.m. in the boardroom of the Mahoney County Board of Elections office, 345 Oak Hill Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio, 44502. Would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Barger.
Here.
Chairman Beatrice.
Here.
Attorney Robinson.
Here.
Attorney Bayer.
Here.
Would the vice chairwoman lead us in a pledge of allegiance, please?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Can we have a moment of silence for our nation, please? All right. We need to amend and approve the minutes of the July 14th, 2025 board meeting. Why are we amending?
Annie?
I can answer that. We had to wait for the court reporter to
Oh, okay.
send over the transcription. So the only thing changed is I added an exhibit and put the transcription into the minutes.
All right. Is there a motion then to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any comments or discussions? Hearing none, would the director call the roll,
Vice
please?
Chair Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
All right. We want to approve the minutes of the September 2nd, 2025 regular board meeting and the September 9th, 2025 special board meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion made by Sandra Barber, seconded by me. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
Okay, approve the bills of accounts and payments for August and September of 2025. The chair will accept the motion.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Sandy Barger to approve the bills of accounts and payments for August and September of 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denise Bayer. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Yes, I would
Go ahead.
ask, how many e-poll books were $389,125? Do you remember? Is it
$250,
250?
something like
Okay.
that. And remember, we're getting back
Yes.
153,000 and some change.
And that was within our budget anyhow, right?
Yes, we told them last year that we were purchasing it and it was allotted for us.
Okay.
We're getting reimbursed for.
And how are we gonna get that 100 and some thousand back?
So I just spoke with Kevin Schrock, and they have to wait for the appropriations, but we should be getting it within the next week or two.
From the state?
Yeah, oh,
Okay.
right, from the state.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Now, where are these poll books being kept? Since we just spent $389,000 and 120, almost $400,000 on them, where are they being kept?
Right now, most of them are in Vault 2, and then they're working on some in the hallway as we speak.
So they're not gonna be anywhere where we have to worry about the building?
No, and we met with the alarm folks today, and that's gonna be alarmed here real soon.
Yeah.
And it's-
It's not only just the alarm, but video monitoring too.
Yeah, there's already cameras in that vault too.
Okay. All right. So we don't have to worry about those. Is what you're saying.
As much as what's in our control, yes.
All right, good. All right, any other comments or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
Chairman's report. I went to the county commissioners meeting last Thursday and spoke. I was supposed to be in court at the same time I was speaking. The judge gave me a little bit of latitude. And I informed them, it was almost a year to the day I was looking, that I was there saying that the pipes above these machines could break and it could be problems. It was almost a year to the day. And I was, it was not warmly accepted. I was told that nothing really bad happened to the machines, that none of the machines were broken, and I said, well, that's not accurate, we don't know how many machines until we drive them out. Had to correct that. I was told that all we have to do is buy fire extinguishers and we'll be in compliance, and I had to correct them on that. And then they said that I never gave, that they didn't know all of the requirements, and I corrected them on that, because I took down 2 stacks of paper and gave them each what the requirements were for us to come into compliance with the Secretary of State. Now, I did thank the facilities manager, I think it is, because I think they're moving at a breakneck speed to get us up to compliance. But I told them that the building it's just not acceptable anymore. They were the only county that I know of in Ohio that has to have a contingency plan for catastrophic building failure. And I was told, well, pipes are gonna break. Yeah, pipes are gonna break when the building's as old as this is. Okay, and that our workers shouldn't have to be working, cleaning up water from broken pipes a week before an election. I'm just so fortunate that this did not happen closer to the election, or it did not happen when we didn't have people here, because who knows how many machines we would have lost. If this happened on a Saturday or Sunday, when no one was here, and that little pipe, and no one turned it off, turned into a big explosion, it would have been catastrophic for us.
True.
So they keep saying that we're gonna get a building. They keep promising, and so we'll see what happens, but I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to say. The director's report.
Well, we started voting today, early vote started today at 5. We continue for the next 30 days, over 200 voters so far. So good little turnout on the first day. We're programming the machines, LNA testing. Everything's going pretty good so far.
Did we lose any machines to the water?
Well, no, we had 7 that we were concerned about. We took them out of rotation, put 7 extra in. The 7 spare ones in. ES&S, our election company, was out. We're okay. But it was only because we were there when it happened. The guys in the warehouse were right there when the water started coming in, and you've seen the videos.
Yeah.
They filled up 55-gallon waste baskets of water.
55.
5 55 gallons of water was caught, but it was coming all over the place too, so.
My understanding is they shut the water off to those pipes, right?
Once they found where it was.
Right. But had that not happened on a Monday, that it could have been catastrophic.
Even at lunch break, when the guys were in the warehouse, it would have been catastrophic. Because upstairs, I had no idea it was coming into the warehouse until I went upstairs. I told it was coming into the warehouse.
So there's no alarms on the piping,
No, no.
that type of thing?
No.
So, okay, where are we with the infrastructure compliance?
With the compliance, we met with this, one of the security companies today to install alarms on both 2, the back area, the warehouse, and early vote, and that will be done in the next week.
In the tap room.
In the tabulation room. We're meeting with 2 other vendors because we have to get 3 quotes, and then once we choose a vendor, it'll be done by election day. The extinguishers are in, we're real close.
Well, we're supposed to be fire alarmed also,
Yeah, this place is fire alarmed.
but the basement,
It is fire alarmed. It is fire alarmed.
where we have the machines?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, it is.
My understanding, we're also supposed to have video surveillance?
We do have video. There's video down there. The thing with the video that's down there, unless there's a motion, it records if there's motion. So for example, the leak, if it would have happened on Sunday, the video wouldn't have told us that. The alarm would tell us that if it can sense the motion. The gentleman today, it depends how strong the leak is. Clearly the bucket pouring, that would have shown up on an alarm and we would have been alarmed. If it was just a slow leak, we wouldn't have, it doesn't do that.
And what else is supposed to be video surveilled?
So we're good on our video surveillance. We have something like 42 cameras throughout the Board of Elections. We're really good on that. So we didn't have to put in any cameras, they were already all there.
Yeah, I'm on the 5th floor.
Everything's out of the 5th floor. The room that they've been working on back there does look beautiful. We were back there today. It looks really nice. They've done a great job. They cleared out some piping, I'm pointing the wrong way. Piping, they took out toilets that were in this one room back here, so, water was a danger there. They took all of that out and they've made shelving in there. They did put in all of the fire extinguishers, and today the last piece of that compliance are the alarms.
So are we now in compliance with the August 29th date?
Not until the alarms are in. And the reason those aren't, and honestly, the director of facilities, their staff, and they have worked at breakneck speed. We've had 2 meetings. The only reason they're not in is because they have to be hardwired, and you have to get the quotes, and you have to, we have to tour the building, show them what we needed. Because you're not just alarming the building, you're alarming specific areas.
Mhm.
So that's the time.
And how much do you anticipate that's going to run us?
I have no idea.
We have no idea. That's why we're waiting for quotes. It'll probably in 10 to 12,000.
Now, 2 things about that. We do have a $10,000 grant that we can spend on that. And when we met with the commissioners last week, I did suggest to them if it was, although they give us our budget, so they can allot it to us, but that because we have to alarm certain areas and we're not a standalone and we can't just alarm our building, that if it was exorbitant, that maybe they would have to help or whatever, but
Now, this $10,000 grant, is that a one-time grant?
yes, it's contingent on that directive.
So maybe we should find out from the Secretary of State's office, if we're gonna be moving, maybe we use that $10,000 grant for the new building as opposed to an old building, because I don't know when we're gonna be leaving because it's the world's greatest
So,
secret.
Director McCabe did ask today that our alarms, the stuff that we put in today can come with us when we move. The alarms.
Yeah, but we don't know if it's gonna be compatible. You've not worked with them and we have no idea what they have in mind for us, right?
The commissioners,
As far as the building goes.
they have not told us, the last meeting we had, what they did say was this, after a little bit of dialogue, that we would be compliant. They were worried about getting that done first. Yes, we'll be done with that. The second half of the meeting is gonna be the conversation about the building, what we actually need, which they have not heard yet and they're ready to hear. What do we need in terms of space? What do we need in terms of the operation? Not only that we know this building is a sick building and we're not staying here, but what do we actually need? So the meeting in November is supposed to start that dialogue. There's rumors about this building or that building.
I've heard the
and-
same things.
Well, Commissioner DeFabio did say in that meeting that he's like, oh, we have something, you'll see, it'll be great. And what I said was, well, I don't know how it could be great if you don't know what we need. And he said, true, so we should talk about it. So that's what we're gonna.
Well, I actually took Commissioner DeFabio out for lunch, bought him lunch to because I was pretty hard on him.
Mhm.
And we had a burger and he goes, well, I'm sure you've already heard where we're moving. And I go, no, I've not heard anything.
Did he tell you?
No, it was like, it's like the best kept secret. And I go, well, all I ask is that they kind of know, because when we toured the Patriot Building, I could specifically remember telling them what we needed. I mean, we had that discussion over a year ago about that.
They kind of know, yes.
Right. So, but, okay.
We'll see in November.
I'm gonna be getting some dinner from the 2 of you. Just saying.
She gave you.
I gave you
Band-Aids.
dog treats.
No, this doesn't,
Got you dinner, gymnastics from the
All
farmer's
right.
dog,
I
I
also
love
have
it.
some more legal obligations. Can you take those, Melissa?
Sure. The first one for No Inc., $54.59, and the second one for No Inc., $31,250. So No Inc. is who we buy our e-poll books for, and so because we were in process of the old poll books and the new poll books, we need to fashion a new contract. We asked for the moral because it may be a moral because we don't have the contract yet. That $31,000 is the maintenance on the prior contract. So we asked for it ahead of time so we wouldn't have to wait a month and not be able to pay our vendors. So that's what those two are about.
Wait a minute, I have a question about the 31,000. Are you saying we do owe that, or we don't know if we owe that?
We will owe that, but it would be either in the previous contract or the upcoming contract, and we could not pay it until we know which contract, which PO we have to get. We can't send it downtown saying, that we don't know.
I see,
We have to refashion the contract, and we think they're gonna move that same fee into the new contract.
okay.
Does that make sense? Okay.
And not completely, but I think I know what you're saying. We owe them $31,250,
Yes,
and it's in the old contract.
yes.
But we don't know, because we got a new contract, whether it's in the new contract.
When we ask for a PO and we send downtown to pay, you have to have a current, and we don't have a current because the contract wasn't renegotiated because we were getting these new pieces of equipment. If you remember, we were waiting on the e-poll books for quite a while, so that was at a standstill.
So my question is if we, in the old contract, had $31,250, why do we have to have another $31,250 if that was already in the old contract?
Well, we're sort of hoping that because we purchased new e-poll books, it gets waived into this new contract. Like, we may not have to pay it, and we're still working that out. But we asked for the moral to be approved so that they don't have to wait if we are going to pay it now, like within this month, like for November. Like, we may not have to pay that, it's just gonna depend on how this new contract.
My understanding of a moral and legal obligation is
It's past due.
it's past due, or it was like an emergency basis. This, to me, doesn't sound like it's an emergency. I'm just, so help edify me as to how this is sort of an emergent kind of a thing that we have to approve now.
Can you edify him?
Well, what I'm saying is, with the new e-poll books, when we sit down and do the contract that says what the maintenance is for the future, because what we did was just purchase them, and we weren't sure about the details, and we went back and forth with them. And before we could sit down with them and talk about it, if we owe for the old contract, it's overdue. If we don't have to pay, because in the new contract, they're gonna waive that first year, which they do a lot of times when you buy new equipment. So, we can hold it until
So-
next month if you want, but we didn't want them to wait a whole nother month.
So you're saying currently this is due?
No, she doesn't know if it's due or not.
Right.
If we tabled it, would it cause you any, would it cause any disruption in services?
No.
Well, my suggestion is that why don't we table at least that $31,250 till we know for sure, unless I'm not looking at it correctly. And tell me
Well,
if
I
I'm
may
not
not be
looking.
explaining it very well, but we can wait until next month, that's fine.
I don't want any disruption in services, though. So I don't want to cut off my nose to spite my face, but at the same time, since I've been on this board, moral and legal obligations are like, hey, something came up, we missed it, or, you know, that's what I always understood a moral and legal obligation is. This is something you're anticipating, but don't know for sure yet.
Well, I don't have Lorraine in here. She would have a little clip, well, maybe a clear later.
Well, here's my question. If we tabled it, is it gonna affect our operations in any way?
No.
Don?
No. They won't, they're not gonna cut off service, they're not gonna,
So,
we just bought new equipment from them, so.
right, so why don't we wait and see whether that is truly a moral and legal obligation and table that one and pay the other ones, unless,
We don't, I'm,
Because this is for the old contract, correct?
we already approved the old contract.
Yeah, but,
are you grabbing Lorraine?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, can we go to the other one then, the one that is?
So my understanding is it was from the old contract. She suggested that make it a moral because it was out of the old contract and we hadn't paid it. And then we bought the new equipment and I just asked her before the meeting, that's what she told me, and she wasn't sure if it wasn't gonna be working. So you're getting her, or she's coming?
Not yet.
Okay, because maybe we won't have to
All right,
wait.
well, let's go to the next one that Cindy has a question.
No, this is the other one that is due, the one that's for the processing mailings. It's $5,459.
Yeah,
That's a legal, a moral obligation, correct?
That is correct.
Yes, and then the C, that is for the, court, the court.
Court
yeah, the
report.
Court reporter, you know that we have a
Yeah.
hard time getting through to them for an invoice. So that's what that was.
okay, so let's at least put a motion on the table for the 5,000
A and C.
A and C, and then let's wait and talk to Lorraine on B. Does that sound okay?
That's fine.
All right, can we do those together? Is that all right, Amy?
I think you have to do them separate.
All right, so I'll take a motion to approve the moral and legal obligation to knowing for $5,459.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Sandra Barber. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Denise Bayer. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Barger?
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice?
Yes.
Attorney Robinson?
Yes.
Attorney Bayer?
Yes.
All right, now I would put onto the table the pay the court reporter, $533.50, as this relates to a transcript from a July hearing. Is there a motion?
I move to
Lisa Robinson moves to pay $533.50 to the court reporter for transcripts that were at a July 14th, 2025 meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Denise Bayer. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Barger?
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice?
Yes.
Attorney Robinson?
Yes.
Attorney Bayer?
Yes.
Okay, now that I see that Lorraine is in the house, could you, we have some questions about this $31,250. Do we owe that to them?
Well, that's where the question was, because we got the new poll pads, which would have a new contract. And
But you didn't get the new contract yet.
not yet. So I put it in front of you guys to get it signed if we have to pay it. We're waiting for the contract.
But my understanding of moral and legal obligations is things that, like our backs were against it, we had to spend it. This doesn't seem to fit that category.
Correct, I think what you're saying, this is a potential bill coming up. We paid it last year,
We paid it last year.
but this, when we purchased the equipment, they waived the first year, but we haven't got confirmation from the vendor that's what
Exactly.
they're still gonna do.
Mhm.
So
So we're only,
I don't think there'd be any harm in waiting, right?
No, I had no intentions of paying it. I just, you guys only meet once a month, and I didn't know if we're gonna be stuck with it,
okay,
then
that's
it's
fine.
signed,
Like over-
yeah.
Over 60 days.
But I would think,
Yeah,
I mean, we got the new poll pads, and
we were just trying to be proactive, we got you.
You understand what
We'll
I'm
wait
saying?
until November.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Okay.
okay, thank
That's what I
you.
Thanks,
thought.
Lorraine.
Thank you.
So I'll take a motion to table for now the moral and legal obligation for No-Link for $31,250.
So moved.
There's a motion to lay on the table the approval of the moral and legal obligation, number 21585 to No-Link, for a total of $31,250. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Lisa Robinson. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns, other than we've already discussed? Hearing none, I would ask the director to call the roll.
Vice Chair Barger?
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice?
Yes.
Attorney Robinson?
Yes.
Attorney Bayer?
Yes.
Okay, unfinished business. Is there anything else in the director's report?
I do not have anything.
All right, unfinished business. Anything in unfinished business? Okay, in new business is approve a vacation cash out for clerk Danielle O'Neill. Where is that here?
Should be the very last page.
Okay. The following board member of the Mahoney County Board of Elections hereby approve clerk Danielle O'Neill to be paid out 75 hours of vacation accrual as per the Mahoney County Board of Elections policy effective immediately. Is there so moved? Is there a motion?
So moved.
There is a motion made by Sandra Barger. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll?
Vice Chair Barger?
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice?
Yes.
Attorney Robinson?
Yes.
Attorney Bayer?
Yes.
I have, anything for the good of the order? I have a question. Didn't you say you were cashing some in?
That was personal time, and that policy doesn't have to come back before the board, it's an automatic policy, that's it,
Okay, so that's not something we have to approve.
no.
Okay. All right, anything for the good of the order, public comments? Hearing none, the next scheduled adjourned regular meeting is set for Monday.
Wait a minute, we're supposed to have this presentation. Is that new business, unfinished business? I think new business.
It's
New
probably new
business.
business.
All right, let's have
I'm
a
sorry.
presentation.
I
Who's
apologize.
making a presentation?
Annie,
Okay.
okay, I did also want to say that, a couple of the board members said you wouldn't mind a, Friday email of what happened this week at the board. So the last 3 weeks were extremely busy, so you're gonna get a bulleted email, and if you find it boring, that's okay. If you find it interesting, because a lot of stuff happened in the last 3 weeks. Good stuff, interesting stuff, but I will be sending that this week. So this presentation, Fiona, here's a copy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have yours.
I got it, yeah.
Okay. So the reason for this presentation was that the four of you had, many different questions. Each of you had different questions and concerns regarding timekeeping. And so to try to meet the needs of all four of you and all four of your different questions, we have this little presentation prepared for you. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, maybe just jot them down so you can go pretty quickly.
Okay,
And hopefully it will just answer any of the questions that you have outstanding. Does that sound good?
sounds great.
Okay. So, I'm just gonna read through this top portion here, and then these are your exhibits, and they're numbered, and they go right in order with the presentation. So as we're talking about them, they're right in order, and they're numbered.
All right.
Okay? Okay. So the timekeeping policy or rule comes directly from the Mahoning County Commissioners Personnel Manual, which you have a copy there. That's your first exhibit. It's number 1. Okay. And then 1B is the Fair Labor Standard Act. That's the Department of Labor. That's about timekeeping as well. So the Mahoning County Board of Elections can and has made adjustments to county policy as the board is independent and determines what is integral to its operation. This rule then supersedes county policy. We don't really have very many timekeeping policies that supersede what is in the county policy. The operational structure of the board is born out of the elections official manual. So by that means that our actual structure, everybody is listed as clerks, all of our full-time staff, and then Tom and I are the deputy and the director, and that is born out of the elections manual. The number of staff, pay rate, and type of staff is indicated by the directors with, of course, approval from the board members. Procedure is the way a policy is enacted and maintained, right? So today we're talking about policy, procedure, and software for timekeeping. Software is the mechanism used to enact timekeeping. In Mahoning County, we use Executive Time, and that's been around since 2017, 2018. They went countywide with the timekeeping. Prior to that, everyone had kind of their own timekeeping. A little crazy. So what we have here at the Board of Elections is
So
our-
hold up on this last point. Timekeeping policy, so that's just for executive time or is that for all time? The last thing before you go to policy. So it says the software is the mechanism used to enact timekeeping policy. Mahoning County Board of Elections utilizes executive time. So they are gonna log in when they start and then log off when they stop, or is that my understanding?
Well, we're gonna actually show you, yeah, right up on the screen, but we do use executive time for all timekeeping, vacation, personal,
Okay.
time clock, I think that's what you're asking, right?
Yes.
Is it for everything? Yeah. So what we have is full-time staff, we have full-time non-exempt staff, they have the right to staggered start, which is 7 a.m., anytime from 7 a.m. to 5:30, as long as they complete 8 hours. Our actual operational hours are 8 to 4, and the reason we did that is that it would 4 o'clock is when a lot of the filing deadline is. We used to be open till 4:30. We liked cutting it off at 4 so you couldn't come in after the fact and try to file. So that works for us. We also allow flex time, which is a 40-hour work week adhering to flex guidelines. In the summer, we can take that another step forward, and this was the first summer we were able to do that because the last 3 years we had 3 elections in a row. So this summer we allowed our staff, they could do 4 10s, or they could do a flex 40-hour week, or they could do 5 8 hours. And the reason I say that is anybody looking at our time cards could be like, why are these so varying? That's why they're so varying. That makes sense. I already said about the last those. We accrue sick time, vacation time, and personal time. So these are 3 different sets of time, and they have 3 different sets of rules and 3 different sets of ways they accrue. Staff is not permitted to use their vacation or personal time during our election cycle, and that is number 3 on your exhibits, where we tell them in a meeting, and we just recently told them the staggered start was number 2. I forgot to tell you guys that. Those are just our meeting minutes so you can see the way we do things. Exhibit number 3, you can see down there, and I highlighted it for you, no vacation time, personal time, or flex time can be used during the months of October and November. The reason we do that, obviously, is because of the election cycle. Upon leaving the county employment, the staff is entitled to 100% of their vacation, 100% of their personal time, up to 240 hours of their sick time. That's just for your information. Staff can cash in some personal time or vacation time because they use it or lose it time prior to, as long as they adhere to specific policy requirements. So you just approved Danny O'Neill, and if you look in your packet there, you will see that Annie Donovan, who's our payroll clerk, will send a staff member when they're about to lose vacation time, because you can only allot so much. I think it's 3 years and that you can have on the board, or the county takes it away. Obviously, if we tell our staff they can't use their vacation time, and then they're gonna lose their vacation time unless they use it, that is why our board has written a policy that you could cash in your time. So Danny happened to just come up on this, Annie sent her the email, that's the exhibit there. The next exhibit, you'll see number 5 is the personnel action request. Anytime we cash in time at all, we have to send it down to the auditor's office and the director of payroll. So it's not like we could just take it out without telling somebody. And that's just an example of that. And of course, there's the board policy. Is that the personal? And then underneath that is the personal time accrual that you asked about, David, that tells you when and if and how we're allowed to cash in personal.
Okay,
Okay?
now, what's the staff earns overtime or comp?
So our full-time staff, non-exempt, can earn overtime or comp. They get to choose. And we have 2 staff members that actually likes comp better than the overtime, right? They must clock in and out each day worked. That's our full-time non-exempt staff.
Well, the only non-exempt is you 2 guys.
No,
We're
you're
exempt.
I mean exempt, everyone else is non-exempt.
Yep, yep.
Okay,
Seasonal staff. So we do have seasonal staff. Their shifts are determined by the work they were hired to do. For example, right now, we have about 50-some extra people here, okay? Absentee early vote in the warehouse or where they work. They can work less than 40 hours or more than 40 hours. They do not accrue vacation, sick or personal, and they do not get paid when they are off. I'm trying to go quick, so if I'm going too fast, tell me.
no, you're good.
Okay, they work 3 months. They usually work the month before, the month of, and the month after. Occasionally, we bring in seasonal folks when we get big petitions with lots of signatures to check, if we have an audit, things like that, but predominantly this is the schedule. They clock in and out each day that they work, and their rate of pay is $15, everybody gets the same rate. They do earn overtime if they work over 40 hours. So
And who
you have-
regulates whether they get to work over 40 hours or not?
Tom and I do.
Okay,
Okay, full-time staff exempt, that would be Tom and myself, the deputy and the director. The same as the full-time staff, all those same rules, except exempt staff are salary and do not earn overtime. They do not clock in and they do not clock out. And then we manually enter our time. Exempt employees can earn comp time not to exceed 240 hours, and this must be used within, I don't know why I said, 180 days for the county, which is, or 365 days according to the Ohio Revised Code. You as a board can determine that. Okay, and so if you look, underneath that, I have some handouts for you, all about comp and overtime. So that's 7, 8, 8A, and 8B. And what I gave you is the Ohio Revised Code, the Department of Labor, and the Otter Mahoney County Personnel Manual. They basically all say the same thing about the comp, and we did highlight where you can review that later, so that you would know how comp works for Tom and myself,
okay.
okay?
So if you and Tom work more than 40 hours a week, you can't get paid overtime, you can just take comp time.
Yes, we're entitled to earn comp hours. And then a little bit further down, we have some more information for you on how you could implement that as a board. if you
Okay.
choose. Okay. Timekeeping, so that's procedure, right? So we were just talking about policy, kind of our way we do things, and now we're gonna talk about the procedure for timekeeping. So timekeeping, we know that Annie Dominic, our lovely Annie, is our payroll clerk. Her responsibilities, only in terms of payroll, we know she does a lot more than this, include onboarding new staff and offboarding staff every election, badge access, tracking longevity, vacation time, use it or lose it, COLA increase, policy changes, staff meeting minutes, clearing the call-off line, and all matters with timekeeping for all seasonal, full-time exempt, and full-time non-exempt. That's what the payroll clerk oversees. We're really lucky to have Annie. She's very, very good at it, and she's very good at making sure that people get their longevity on time. And she's very good at making sure that people know about their vacation accruals and if they're about to lose it. That was not in place until 3 years ago when Annie came on board, and we were able to add all these sort of like constructs within the board. Time cards. Full-time non-exempt staff and seasonal non-exempt staff clock in each day and clock out each day on their computer or on the time clock. Exempt staff do not use time clocks but manually enter their time. If any staff is off-site, Annie enters their time. Canfield Fair, delivery of equipment, conferences, those are just some examples of when we might not be in the building, but our time needs entered. If the staff makes an error, forgets to clock out or clocks in too soon, the seasonal, we have that a lot, they must complete a payroll correction form. That's an in-house thing that we created, and Annie, if you want to pass them out, they leave them right at the time clock, and we collect them every day, and then Annie puts them in. Annie reviews and makes the correction. If there's any issue with the correction slip, Annie coordinates with either of the directors for a final decision. Okay, that's what we do. If there are any other exceptions, such as working on a holiday, which we've done, closing for various reasons without clocking out, which we've had to do, board-approved day off, paid day off, Annie makes those adjustments to the time cards. Those can't be done by a staffer. Time off requests. Full-time staff is required to enter their vacation, personal, or sick time request in executive time, unless extenuating circumstances arise in which Annie, Melissa, or Tom could put that time off request in for them. And we have done that. If someone's off, if they're on vacation and they would like to extend it a day or two, we can do that. If they're sick and they didn't know they weren't going to be back and they need us to put in their time, we do that. Bereavement, we put in bereavement. Request via executive time, send automatic emails to Melissa, Tom, and Annie with the request off that was made. And that's in your packet as well. That's number 9 in your exhibits. And the reason we show that to you is you can see that that's how quickly and efficiently executive time works. We all know when someone asks for time off. And in your little example there, there's just a couple people who have requested.
But during extenuating circumstances, if someone's out and they're sick, and how do you log that request besides putting it into executive time? Is there like a policy that says that request must be submitted by a phone? I'm guessing people won't have access to their email, so they would have to send it by a personal email.
Right, usually it's if they talk to me, Tom, or Annie, and then we coordinate it. And then we could, and this was something that I know that we would do in the future, you could put it right in without going through this email process. We're not gonna do that, we're always gonna do it this way. We're gonna make sure that, say someone is sick, they're not coming back, and we have to put their sick time in for them, which happens. I mean, that's the most time that'll happen. We're gonna go ahead and put it in as a request for them, and then approve it, so that there's a tracking. Right, is that what you were asking?
Yeah, so like in this instance, like did Sue call in and say, I can't come in, and then this is how you track it so that it's entered into executive time?
Right, and we're gonna show you it. Annie's gonna actually do an example for you in a little bit, but
Okay.
But definitely, if someone calls in and they're still sick, we have to put in their sick time. That happens a lot. I don't think we really have to do that too frequently. Do you think, Annie? I don't think it's too frequent.
No.
It really isn't. Most of the time, it's somebody off sick on an extended time, and we don't even have that very often.
Yeah, the only time is when it's like the end and the beginning of the pay period. We have to have it in.
Right. Because if people are sick, usually they come back from being sick and put their time in. But let's say they're off more than 2 weeks, then we have to put it in for them. Okay, I hope that answers. Oh, that was about the, okay, and so you see the emails, and that the 3 of us have historically approved those time off requests, which are approved or denied based on prescribed policy.
So now it's gonna be documented, right?
Well, it's always documented. This is how we've always done it. But what I'll say about it is, I think that the question was that the 3 of us could approve it. We have our meetings, our staff meetings, and we say, okay, you guys can't be off from this date to this date with election, with vacation or personal, unless you come and talk to me or Tom and there's an extenuating circumstance during election time. So for example, if she got a vacation request in, I have the email, Annie has the email. A lot of times what'll happen is she's like, did you? And I'll say, did you? If it's during election time, that's pretty much the only time we're denying vacation or personal. We do not have time abusers. We're really lucky. Our staff does not abuse time. We usually only have to deny it during election time. Do you agree with that, Tom?
Correct, yeah, it is.
So, like, what I'm telling you here is what we do. This isn't new. This is what we already do, okay?
I know you already do it, but is it documented that you already do it?
Yes.
That's my, okay,
Yes, because you have all these digital footprints of what's done.
okay.
Okay, so now submitting payroll. Okay, I'm gonna go over this part, and then Annie, you're gonna do your demonstration, right? Okay. So
So
the
can I ask a
Monday,
question, because you
Sure.
took Annie out of this step, so you put her back into the step?
well, we're gonna talk about that, if you don't mind, in just a minute about that.
Okay.
Yep. I'm gonna sign it. Is today the 2nd?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Monday after each payday, and actually she does two. She sends an email on Friday before, the Friday of payday, and she sends an email on the Monday after payday. And these emails are both to remind the staff to make sure their time requests are in, make sure their cards are correct, and to initial their card. And we're gonna show you that in executive time in a minute. That's the first approval once they do that. And I do believe you have an example there, right behind your, if you've been pulling them out. These are the examples of the emails that Annie sends. We've been doing this for 3 years. That's your digital footprint of it.
Okay.
So, the
What
season.
exhibit number is that?
10.
Thanks, Annie.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
Yeah, it's not marked,
On that one.
yeah.
Oh, I got the rest of that.
So it's an email from Annie dated October 3rd.
There's the 3rd and the 6th. It's the last one except for the very, very last staple handout.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. The seasonal staff card employee approvals are completed by Melissa, Annie, or Tom. So, that means each election we have 52 to 60 people that come here to work. We have to send down a par for each person, and when they're done after that 3 months, we have to send another par to terminate them and take them out of the system. The seasonal staff do not have access to their time cards, they never have, and this has been in place since 2017, this software. Seasonal staff has never initialed their time cards. We would be willing to have them initial their time cards at a future date. We can talk about that. We could set up one computer where they come in and we pull up executive time and they initial their time cards. Or there's a potential for them to do it on their phone. I did speak with the director of payroll and I explained to her we're in the middle of an election and we're not gonna do anything like that right now in the middle of an election. I can't stress the level of chaos and change that comes the minute you get 60 new employees and you're having an early vote center that wouldn't be the time to add more changes to what they do. It stresses them out. So the seasonal have never signed their time card, ever, right, Tom? They've never,
No, since 2017, they've used executive time, so they come in at 9, they leave at 3:45. That punch in and punch out goes directly to executive time. So our time card is tied to payroll. So we always found it as an unnecessary step because that employee punching at 9, leaving at 3:45 is testifying that's when they were here. That's why we have a time card. Prior to 2017, we had sign-in sheets, we had punch cards,
yeah, it was all.
and I'd have to go through the time cards and enter it manually. So 2017 changed everything by implementing a time card that ties to executive time.
So that's the seasonal staff, but the full-time members, they do their own time, they do sign their time cards. So, and then there's that future plan if we find that that's problematic. So then the next thing is after the staff has approved their card, Annie informs Melissa or Tom so they can approve the time cards at the second level. And she usually does that, either she calls us, she emails us, she comes down the hall and says, can you go and look and do the check marks? And we're gonna show you that in executive time in a minute. And that's what we do the second approval. why would an employee, a regular employee, not approve their own card? So for example, if I'm not here on a Monday, or Nick is out delivering equipment on a Monday, and he's not in the building, we have initials for those folks that aren't here. If you're on vacation, you can't sign your card. If you're sick, you can't sign your card. So we have initials for employees, and likely that will happen again, and that is the one time, those kinds of exceptions is when they don't sign their own card. And just to be clear, because you clock out on Friday, you come in on Monday, you have to get your card situated. If you don't come to work on Monday, you're holding up payroll if we have to wait for you to come in Tuesday morning and initial your card. 'Cause it's due Tuesday,
Ultimately,
2
it's
o'clock.
Annie and then either one of you two.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. And so, once all the time card approvals are completed by the employees and one of the directors, or Annie, when we have had that happen, which is frequently, then Annie can review and submit, which is the third approval. Now, the third approval is not an initialing, so I just want to be clear about that. There's not another initialing, there's just two, the employee and the directors, or the employee and Annie. So there is sometimes where there's a dual role. It could be me and Tom in a dual role, it could be Annie in a dual role. If you sign for the employee, and then you sign as the supervisor, you are sometimes going to be initialing both by the virtue of what's going on in the operation that day. For example, I don't know if you guys know this, but every election, especially our big ones, right, Annie, it's payroll, like on election day. So Annie's the field rep supervisor, so she's out of the office that day, so we go like gangbusters on the Monday before to make sure everybody's signed and everything. So yes, there are times when we have to sign, initial. Okay. So, I know, don't get too bored, we're almost done.
That was 20 minutes ago.
I know, Dave, I'm sorry. Okay, and so then the pre-list is due on Thursday of the same week. So that's when the corrections from Tuesday's submission could be made, and that can only be signed by Tom or myself. And that's really what always historically was the real deal. We are attesting to this is our payroll, and that's on Thursday of the same week. All right. And then please note, this payroll is separate from the poll worker payroll and also from the seasonal staff who work on election day. Those are done differently. All right, Annie, you're up.
All right.
So Annie's going to show you this great, wonderful executive time that we've been talking about for a month, and so you can see it for yourselves.
All right, so I thought I'd start by just kind of showing you all an example of what a pay card looks like on ExecuTime. So this is actually for the current pay period. So this is something when we're doing payroll, I have to go through every employee and make sure there's no missing punches that have to be rectified. But for example, if you look under the Tuesday, you can see there's a violation. It shows that the transaction is incomplete
Because they didn't sign out.
because they haven't clocked out yet, exactly.
And he's right outside the door.
He's right outside the door. So that's for the current pay period, and then I can kind of track, regular hours, overtime, comp time, et cetera, and then the total amount of hours for the week. I'll show you an example of the previous pay period. So this is what was actually submitted today for payroll. And you can see that in this example, there's some personal time in.
Okay, so where we see blanks on in and out, they're either using sick time, vacation time, or personal time,
Correct.
or comp time.
Yep. Or
Does
comp.
comp time count as personal time, or is there a separate category?
I think it's kind of its own, but
It's
this
its
is
own
similar to
category.
vacation personal.
Okay, got it.
So on payroll day, after all the employees have their time in the system, we then go to supervisor actions to employee time summary. I'm gonna go to previous.
Why do Sandy and I have,
We all have.
Because you're in
Denise
trouble.
has.
Trying.
We're in trouble, because we don't even know how to sign in.
For the board
We don't
members,
touch this stuff.
for the board members, you all are the easiest for the payroll process because
We
the
just-
the county actually has your times in automatically.
Right.
okay,
But what I want to show you is for the check marks. So first we have our violations column, so this will show us if there's any incomplete times that have to be fixed.
so green is good, right?
Green is good, so green means that the employee has checked their time card and did the time approval,
Okay,
Okay.
which is the first step,
which is the
because there's
first
three
step.
steps, correct?
So that's the first step. The second step is the approver check mark, which is gonna be in gold, and that means that either Tom or Melissa have completed the approval.
Okay,
Now, after all the check marks are completed, you can see they're all checked on here, I would then be able to go in and submit payroll, which I can't show that part because we've already submitted it.
I understand.
Annie, will you show them one of the cards
Yeah.
so they could see the approver and employee section? I think that's what Sandy was trying
Uh-huh.
to.
Yeah, let me go to, let's use Jenny's example. So under Jenny's card, if you look kind of in the middle of the screen, it shows the pay period approval. So it shows the initials of the employee that verified the pay card, which is the
And
first
approvers
check.
and Melissa Wasco.
And Melissa is the second check.
Okay,
So those are the steps that have been talked about a lot, it's those two steps. So the
There's a third
employee,
step too.
well, the third step is the submission.
Okay.
Like, there's not another place to mark another initial, the third step is the submission. So I
that's where
think,
Annie submits it.
That's what I was
Right.
gonna get.
but so for example, while we're on the card there, let's say that Jenny was off that day. That could be an MW. And that's where people are saying that maybe, why is there a dual role? Well, she was off and she couldn't sign her card that day, so I, as the supervisor, signed it for her.
So
and-
Annie's name should not appear in employee. Should be either you or Tom, right?
It
Unless
could-
you or Tom are not here.
Right, it could be Annie, and we have had, the three of us have done that. If, like, let's say me and Tom are at a conference, which happens when we go to the director's conference. If it's payroll week, it could be JD and Annie Dominic.
Yeah, this past June,
Mhm.
payroll fell on conference day.
But those would be the reasons. It wouldn't be any other reason except that. And so sometimes it's going to be Annie, sometimes it's mostly gonna be Tom and myself. But that is when you'll see a different initial there, and then it could be stated as a
And
dual
there's
role.
nowhere on this digital footprint for a documentation as to why it's Annie and not you or Tom.
Well, there's a comment page, look up the square, there's approver, initials, comment. Correct? That can be filled in for the reason.
You could make comment if you choose to have comment, but then you'd have to then come up with like the procedure for how far you wanna go with a comment, right? Like how much do you wanna answer in there? That's up to you guys, you know?
Well, if the auditor, just hypothetically, someone's reviewing this and going, well, the employee is AD and the approver is AD, I want in the comments, Annie, to say, Tom and Melissa were out at a director's meeting. And no one would question anything, then they know why.
That's up to you guys, but you'd have to write down a very specific list of reasons and for us to follow. Because honestly, I don't know how often it happens, I
Well,
wouldn't
you
be
said,
guessing.
if you and Tom are out of the office,
Yeah,
there should be just Tom and Melissa, we're out of the office on this day, why couldn't we use that?
you can. Is that where the comment would go though?
You put that in, yeah.
And the other thing I want to say about that, which is coming in a minute, because we were just showing you that, you know, we're not unique. Like, as a county entity, we are not unique in this issue. I spoke to 3 other county agencies in the last few weeks, and they all have the same problem with this, where, and I don't want to name those entities because I don't think I should get them. But we're not unique in that, and we do know that they're trying to make sure that this is nice and tight and streamlined. But to what end, right? You don't want to give yourself more work to need an initial, I don't think. But
Well, I think in the instance where, you know, like you had the email from Sue, she's out, she's sick, and then it shows, you know, MW, MW. You have the documentation through the email to pull it up and support that. I think in the instance where Annie has to be the approval, just like David said, I mean, that's simple in the comment.
I even think, you know, while you were saying that, it even dawns on me, you could write a board policy saying that that's acceptable to you in our circumstances, and that you don't have to fill out the comment, because it's time consuming. It's a little time consuming. if you had to comment, I don't know, maybe it's not time consuming, but if
Well,
you,
that's why I'm saying.
The only time I think
Yeah.
that the comment would have to be commented on if it's ADAD,
so just if it's the
or if
payroll.
it's
Okay.
JDAD.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In other words, if the
Okay,
approver is
so-
AD,
Gotcha.
then in the comment, it should say, Tom and Melissa were at a director's conference. Tom and Melissa were out.
So anytime there's a dual role used, you would wanna use the comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way, no one's gonna look at it and say, why is Annie approving this? And they go in the comments and say, because Tom and Melissa were out of the building.
Okay.
Well, then in that instance, the dual role could also be Melissa approving for an
Yes.
employee that came out. So I think that in the comment, all you have to say is her employee phone call.
Okay, so anytime there's a dual role, we're gonna mark it in the comment.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Annie. I know you had a few more things you wanted to show.
Yeah, just a couple more things. So after payroll is submitted, the payroll department will let us know that the pre-list is ready. The pre-list shows us all the employees, and it's just kind of a double check for us to go through and make sure that all the times are entered correctly and that nothing's missing. So we still have a couple days before we're able to officially submit payroll that we can fix any corrections that we have. So what I do is I go through the pre-list first, and then I bring it to either Tom or Melissa for them to review it, and then they sign this before we submit this down. And then I wanted to show you all an example.
Now, my understanding on this approval thing, when it's Melissa, it's gonna be Tom, and when it's Tom, it's gonna be Melissa.
Yeah, we're getting to that. That's the next part. We have some
Okay.
stuff for you about the directors. Yeah.
And then I was also gonna show you just how we put a time off request in as well. So when we go in, we can choose, based on the time we have vacation, sick, personal, or comp. Actually, I have one to enter in, so I'm gonna do a real one. So the employee has to put the start time, or start date and end date, and then the start time.
That's the military time?
It is a military time. The total amount of hours. And then they can put a comment as to why. But for sick time, we really don't require that in there, just because sometimes it is personal. And then once the time off request goes through, usually pretty quick, but usually I'll get an email.
It's just slower in here because of
Yeah.
So you get an email when someone does that?
Tom, Annie, and I all get the same email.
Okay,
Anytime anybody asks for any time off.
I believe you, you don't have to
Yeah.
search for it.
But here's one that shows it was reviewed, and who reviewed it.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else in executive time, Annie?
No?
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay, so moving on. You know, I think I gave myself the wrong. Yeah, did I already give you guys?
I think you've answered all of my questions,
Well, we just have one more.
which is what? We've taken Annie out of the process, other than submitting it.
So, we didn't take her out of the process,
It's
actually.
the purpose of the review.
No, I was looking, Annie, did we already give them the, all the statutes and everything, all the?
Yeah, that's in here.
We did that.
Yeah, I think those were under number,
All right.
1B,
Right, that was
and then
already.
8 and 9.
So the purpose of the review was to clarify current practices, so everything you saw today is current practices, and introduce potential new practices, which we will add this dual role with the comment, we'll add that immediately, and I'll add that to this, so we have it on record. And the review was to alleviate concerns that board staff is not trained or utilizing ExecuTime software properly. I hope you can see that we're pretty proficient with it. To address potential inconsistencies in adhering to county personnel manual. To demonstrate that timekeeping at the Mahoning County Board of Elections is not haphazard or abusive. And to announce changes that can be made for improvement of our timekeeping processes. So our review began on or about September 2nd. We removed Annie from her duties for 2 payroll periods so that we could examine the process from beginning to end, what we were doing, what suggestions you all had made, what concerns were there. And once we finished our review, we returned Annie to her role. Also, when we did that, that's how we did it with the warehouse and with voters registration. Anytime that anything comes up, internally or externally, we do make those decisions to take it apart and look at it. So that's what happened there. And so our improvements that we think that we would like to suggest are the 3 approvers when feasible, which we just discussed, and so.
Yeah, but Annie technically isn't approving, she's just submitting. You and Tom are approving.
No, I think they approve each other, but they don't have to approve everybody, correct?
No. We approve at that step when it comes to the check marks where you saw the green and right now you guys have
Yeah.
red because we're in the new pay period. We do that. Where we go and look at the time card, we approve those time cards.
I actually don't have the ability on my end to
She
be the
can't.
second approver.
No.
So
the-
there's two approvers, and she's a submitter.
Yes, they call it a third approval, but it's truly a submitter.
Okay,
Yes.
all right,
Okay.
I understand.
So, and that's what always was the case. Except for those exceptions where the dual role was needed, that you've asked for comments to be placed in that box. That's the only time. So we can do that. That should solve that. And then we already said we weren't unique. We already talked about the seasonal is the exception, that we will be approving their time cards, at least for this election. We won't be changing that until the future when we can look at a different way to do that if needed. And the board can decide whether or not you think that's necessary with the seasonal staff.
I'm satisfied with that
Okay.
presentation.
All right, wait, you got just a little tiny bit more, and then we're done. I know.
My ADHD is just
I know, but
kicking
you've
into
done so
overdrive.
well, I'm not even gonna lie. You have. So here's the part that I think that is important as well. The directors will complete their own time cards. Previously, Annie was putting our time in for us. So we're gonna put our time in ourselves.
Thank you.
But with a standard 8 hours. And so this is very important that the board is aware of this, that it's a standard 8-hour day that we're putting in. However, for example, yesterday we worked from 8 in the morning till 9 at night. So when we put in an 8-hour day, we're fibbing technically on executive time. So the board needs to, and we can vet this through Danby DeCenzo, who is our new prosecutor that's assigned to us. So we're gonna put in an 8-hour day for me and an 8-hour day for Tom. Unless we use our vacation sick or personal for some reason, right?
Well, should you be getting comp time?
Exactly, if that's the case, the directors will earn comp hours per the Mahoning County Personnel Manual.
That's hour for hour.
It's actually you earn time and a half, but you only get paid out straight time if you cash it in. So we can earn an hour and a half for each hour, and that's per the Mahoning County Personnel Manual, which you have, the Fair Labor Standard Act, which you have, and the Ohio Revised Code, which you have. We are going to, and we already have created books that Tom has his own book, I have my own book. We're gonna write those hours in that book, and then we do believe there's a way to put the comp hours so that it's tracked in executive time, but you have to put it in manually. Annie will be doing that based on the books that we write.
But who's gonna be approving?
Well, you
I'll
don't,
have to approve Melissa's and she has to approve mine.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
okay, but the tracking is handwritten and then Annie manually puts it in. And then that comp hour, those comp hours are earned and they sit out there. You can put a time limit on it, but the Ohio Revised Code says 365 days. If we don't use it within the 365 days, we get to cash it out. And that's the policy.
What's our policy?
Well, that's actually the county policy, so you would want to write your own policy. And so we were gonna write up the policy, send it to the prosecutor's office, if you all agreed that you wanted that to be the policy. Remember, that was the dialogue about flex, comp, this or that. It's actually comp. So we could write up the policy, send it over to the prosecutor so he can vet it and make sure that we are statutorily correct.
I was informed that it has to be done within a payroll, so that's inaccurate.
It's inaccurate.
Okay.
And you have that information.
My preference would be that you be given 365 days.
Okay,
The reason is we have 2 elections a year, but sometimes
great.
we get 3 or 4 elections a year. And so it would be nearly impossible for you, if that happens within 6 months,
Right.
because sometimes they change that, the primary day.
Yes.
And,
Every 4 years, they change to March.
right, so it'd be very hard for you
To use it,
within that year, within that period.
right.
So I think 365 days is fair unless, there's anyone that disagrees with that.
No, I don't disagree. So are you guys all right if what we're gonna do is fashion the policy based on our conversation and what's written here? We'll send it over to Danny, have him vet it, and make sure that we're not offending statute somewhere. And then next board meeting, we can vote on it so that we can have it memorialized.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, and then, you know, we have the right to flex, that's the 40-hour work week. Also, the directors will approve each other's time off submissions and our time cards except in special circumstances when it will have to default to the payroll clerk. And in that case, we'll do the dual role thing and she'll sign Y. Right?
Well, she should only be signing that if both you and Tom are out.
Right. So for, yeah, exactly.
If Tom's here, he should be approving you. If you're here, you should be approving Tom. If you both are out, right,
Right.
like you're at a director's thing or whatever,
Something.
then Annie approves, but she puts in the comments, I approve because they're not in the office to approve.
Right, yep. The last thing we have is a request that, and this is just a kind of a wish list, if we could make Annie, not that we're gonna change her non-exempt status, we would like to make it so that she can manually enter her time. The reason we're asking for that is that because she is a clock in and clock out person, executive time is programmed now. She had the capacity for 3 years to use the timesheet entry capability. It takes a very long time to correct and update time cards, especially at election time with the seasonal staff. They removed that functionality from her because they said she's a clock in, clock out employee. So that makes sense. Tom and I, we manually enter our time. We are exempt employees. It wouldn't change her status as a non-exempt employee. It's merely a software capability that we would like her to have. Dina Donatelli explained to me if she was able to manually enter her time, she would give her back that functionality. So the board would
Aren't
have
they
to-
manually entering the time now, all the
No, they
employees?
use the clock in and clock out. Like Andy and they use the time clock. Tom and I manually enter.
Every employee that automatically populates that field when you punch in and pop out. When you punch in here, it comes right to the screen she was showing you.
And so we want Annie to be able to do what you guys do.
Just in that fashion, because it will give her a functionality in executive time that helps her do her job quicker.
I don't have a problem with
What
that.
functionality?
It's the timesheet entry. So there's 2 different fields. So for example, timesheet entry. If she needed to enter time or fix time for any employee, there's another screen you can go to, but you have to go through 3 or 4 steps on that screen to even get to it. Timesheet entry, you're going right to their card and you can fix it. Yeah.
But you're gonna approve that also.
Mhm. At the end of the day, we're approving every time card.
Okay.
And so we'll write that up.
You want, rather than you manually doing it, you want Annie to be able to do that, so you and Tom don't have to go in and do that.
I did it for 3 years, I'm good.
Well, we both have the capacity, but they took it away from her during this.
I understand that, but it seems to me that's not a good use of your time.
Right,
If you're gonna approve it, fine.
right,
But it
right.
doesn't seem to be a good use of your time if you have to manually go in and do
Yes.
that. That seems more of a,
As long
don't
as
take
that
this wrong,
doesn't affect
a
her
secretarial function.
non-exempt status.
No, and I'll double check with the
You said you took it away from her
No, they
during this
took away,
time? What did that mean?
no, when we took her out of executive time
Okay.
for that 2 payroll period,
Uh-huh.
and then when we put her back in, that functionality.
That she
was
had before
removed.
she didn't have, so you want to give it back to her?
Yeah, and
Not
Dina,
add something different to her?
no, right.
Okay. All right.
Because if she doesn't have it, that means the one of the 2 of them have to go and
And I
do
know how
that.
he loves payroll.
But the board may need to pass a little policy on that, because Dina Donatelli explained to me that that was something that they decided downtown that it was gonna be based on clock in or out, and I have the emails. And she was very nice. I think Dina Donatelli does an excellent job. She is actually the director of payroll for 1,800 people. She does a great job. So,
All right, we'll
All right.
draw something up and then we'll approve it next meeting.
all right, I hope that was fast and painless, and I'm really hoping that it answered a lot of the questions each of the four of you had. Each of the four of you had different questions, so if it didn't, please feel free to reach out or ask now, or I just don't want anybody to leave here feeling like they didn't get the information they needed.
I will read it some more at home, but I'm the payroll girl, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good with what you have.
Lisa, did you have any? No. Do you feel like your questions were answered?
They were adequately answered, thank you.
Okay, and then if you think of anything, just
I
reach
will.
out.
Not well answers, just adequately.
Lisa,
I
good
didn't
to
take
you.
it that way.
Was she talking to you?
I didn't take it that way.
No, but I'm-
You were
I'm
stirring
sure
the
you're
pot.
talking
I'm a
back.
peanut gallery, and
I'm coming for you, Tom.
Listen, we're
You
not
won't
gonna
even
lie,
see it.
we're not gonna lie, Tom and Dave's
She is
actions
co- she
is
is
pretty well.
That I know.
Well, because I knew all this.
I know you did. But not everybody did, because some of us that come in at all different times.
I
It's hard to
understand,
know
I
when you're not in
understand,
it.
I understand. I think I did pretty good.
You did
All right,
awesome.
getting back to the agenda. Is there anything else?
I think we're just to the good of the order now, yeah.
Anything for the good of the order?
What time is it?
That was a long time.
Fiona.
All right. So, we have our next regularly scheduled meeting is set for Monday, November 3rd at 6 PM in the boardroom of the Mahoning County Board of Elections office, 345 Oak Hill, Youngstown, Ohio. Set to adjourn Tuesday, November 4th, after the close of the polls, tabulations, and release of the unofficial general election votes. And now, thank you, Sandy. This meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, every single